Hi everyone and welcome to Moonstone Makes. My name is Tommi. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as DynamiteTrujillo. Welcome to episode 118. Thank you so much for being here. Today is a really nice and bright and sunny and clear Friday in May here on the Northern California coast where I'm coming to you from. We have show notes for this podcast episode in the description box below. That's where I link to everything I'm going to talk about in today's episode. Thank you so much for being here. If you're a new viewer, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, a big welcome back. We have a couple of admin things to talk about. The first is that we are still running one make-along, and that is the Seasons Make-Along. And that is where you can make anything inspired by whatever season you are currently in. Right now here in the Northern Hemisphere, it is spring, so make anything inspired by the springtime. And you can participate in that make-along. It's a make-along, so knitting, crochet, any fiber arts, sewing, anything like that is all welcome. So Instagram, it's the hashtag SeasonsMAL2021, and I do have a Ravelry group, which is linked below, and that's where you'll find a couple of threads for chatter and for FOs, so you can enter both in the FO thread and on Instagram. And I thank you for participating in that. If you are, it's been really great to follow along with what you've been making and see what you've been making inspired by the springtime. We have another make-along that has just ended, and that is the Finish It, Fix It, Frog It make-along, and that was such an amazing make-along. Thank you so much to everybody who participated. It was so wonderful to see what you did because there were so many options in that make-along. You could frog things, you could finish old whips, you could fix old FOs that needed fixing, you could remake things out of your frogged yarn or, I don't know, fabric, I guess. And it was just such an inspiring make-along, and I'm really into that kind of stuff, so I loved doing this one. And that one is now officially over, but I do encourage you to check out the hashtag on Instagram if you haven't yet, just to see what everybody did because it was wonderful. And that was hashtag it was hashtag FinFixFrog, MAL. But I think there are some posts in FixFinFrog, MAL, because I got it wrong a couple times. But I did draw from both. So I have drawn from prizes from the hashtags and from the Ravelry FO thread. So I'm going to announce those now really quickly. The first winner is from Instagram, and that person is going to get, let me just jingle these a little bit, some really beautiful stitch markers from Time Weaver. These are Fluorite, Moonstone, Onyx, and Agate. And that winner from Instagram is Balanced Skein, who is Kendra. Congratulations, Kendra. She ripped out a crochet sweater, which I also did for this make-along, so that was pretty exciting to see, and I'm very happy for you, Kendra, and I hope that yarn goes into another fantastic project, and I hope you enjoy your new stitch markers. So get in contact with me either through Instagram or in my email or Ravelry or whatever. So all of that is linked below. So congratulations to our Instagram winner, Balanced Skein, and our Ravelry winner from the FO thread is going to get this bag that was made and donated by Debbie. And this is a very special one-of-a-kind bag. You cannot get this because she doesn't have a shop, but she did so kindly make it and donate it to the podcast so that we could give it away to one of you. And so it's this really great drawstring bag. It's really big and wonderful. It's got a handle, and it also comes with a matching notions pouch. And thank you, Debbie, for donating that bag and some others that are going to be going to future prize winners. The winner from the Ravelry FO thread is Beth Jenkins. Congratulations, Beth. And Beth ripped out 2 cowls. So that's kind of exciting to me because that's kind of that was my favorite part of this make along, was ripping things out. So both of the winners ripped things out. So Beth, congratulations. Thank you for participating. Thank you for posting. Send me a message saying that you've seen this. Get me your full name and mailing address, you to Kendra, and I will mail this out to you, Beth. So thank you so much again to everybody who participated in that make along. It was wonderful and I had such a good time, and I think you guys did too. So yay, maybe we'll do it again next year. I don't know, we'll see. Probably. I'm gonna do it again next year. We'll see. Okay, moving on to, I guess, what I've been working on. I have knitting this week to share, and that is it. And I have a new project, a couple of projects you've seen before, and I guess we'll just get right into that. I don't know why that transition feels weird, but it does. First thing I've been working on is my new cast on. Let's show you that first. That is living in my Fat Squirrel bag, which one of my other whips used to be living in, but I switched it out to a bigger bag. And now my new project is living in this bag. So I am knitting a shawl. I haven't knit a shawl in a long time. This is the Bojagi Shawl by Knit Boop, and it's a triangular shawl. It's like one of those, I've forgotten all the language around shawls. It's one of those like offset triangular shawls. What are those called? You know it. You know it. Asymmetrical. It's an asymmetrical triangular shawl. And it's a 2-color shawl. And here's what I have so far. So the yarn that I'm using so far is this. Let's show you this side that isn't all messy. They're both kind of messy. So this is Copper Corgi yarns on the Ogechi Sport Base in the Blushing colorway. And this is a 100% superwash merino sport weight yarn, but it's a fingering weight pattern, and to me, when I work this yarn up, it feels like fingering. Like, I'm calling this fingering. And it's 100% superwash merino, but I swear it feels like there's cashmere in it. It's very soft. I really love the color. Of course, it's this like faded, muted, dusty pink mauve, which is like one of my favorite colors ever. Warm pinks are like my favorite, right? I love warm pinks. And then the other color, the contrasting color, is some Dream in Color Smushy with cashmere. And it's in the Deep Regret colorway, which has got to be the greatest colorway name ever. And I'm jealous that I didn't think of it. And so this is a really great, like, rosy copper. And just threw my other cake on the floor. I'm gonna have to go get it. I'll be right back. It's hard right now to do that. You might be able to tell. I'm very pregnant. Okay, so I think these two colors go really, really great together. And I was craving making a shawl, but I don't really want any more shawls right now. I have a lot, and I don't wear shawls as much as I used to. And when I do, it's like my 2 favorite ones. So I haven't been making a lot of shawls lately, but I was really craving just the project. So I decided to find a shawl that I really wanted to make, and this Bojagi shawl is just so beautiful. It kind of hits all the marks for me. It's just really basic back and forth across, but it has different textured sections. It's got garter, it's got mosaic knitting, it's got lace and cable knitting, but they're all just each in their own sections, and I just love stuff like that. So I thought I would make it and use it as the second quarter Patreon and Ko-Fi giveaway prize. So this shawl, when it is done, will be given away. If you don't know, I am on Patreon. If you want to support the YouTube channel, you can support me through Patreon or through a single contribution on Ko-Fi. Both of those are linked below. And the cool thing about doing that is that you get entered no matter how much you contribute or how often. If you contribute anything at all during a quarter, so between April and the end of June of this year, you will be entered into winning this shawl that I'm making. So check that out if you're interested. If you want to win this shawl, it could be yours. Also, thank you to everybody who does contribute. It is really amazing and much appreciated. And I'm really enjoying this shawl so far. It's a wee tiny one so far, and I'm just on the garter section, which, you know, I love. And this is a free pattern by Knit Boop. I will link to it below. It's really great so far. I love it. I'm really excited about getting to the next sections. I really like mosaic knitting, and I like the mosaic knitting in this pattern because it's kind of, it creates these little like rectangles. So it's like you striping your yarn, and it's also got like little vertical stripes coming through it, through the slip stitches, which happen in mosaic knitting. I'm very excited about that part. I think that's coming up next. And then we've got a really cool lace and cable section. I'm very excited about it. So it's pretty much just going to be this yarn on either end. And then in the middle is going to be this. And then I think on either side of this solid color is going to be striping. So I love it. I love it. I'm very excited about this shawl. I am knitting it on a US size 6 on my very rarely used, what are they even called? You know, the fancy ones. What are these fancy needles called? Oh my goodness. What are these fancy needles called? I can't even remember. You might know what they are. They're very popular, very fancy, and very expensive needles. I bought them a long time ago when I was very first getting into like knitting with a capital K knitting, which whatever, but you know what I mean. And I don't love them. They're like not my favorite needles. Gosh, what are they called? Signature needles. They're signature needles. They're size 6 signature needles, 4 millimeters. Yeah, they're not my favorite needles. I don't know. I honestly don't get the hype. I have 4s and I have 6s. These are the 6s, and I never use them. I much prefer my Hi-Hiya interchangeables and my Licca interchangeables. I also really despise the term pregnancy brain, but that's not even, I have no excuse. I always do this. I never remember what anything's called. Forget it. I do despise pregnancy brain. But these are the needles. Lots of people really, really do love them. I just happen to not care about them that much. And I think because of that, I'm saying it, so it's going to happen. And I'm like, totally, I'm doing it. When I give this shawl away, I'm also giving these needles away. So whoever wins this shawl is going to get the shawl, the leftover yarn, if there is any, and this set of needles. So the thing about signature interchangeable, well, the thing about signature needles is that you have the tips, they screw off of the cables, and I have 2 sizes of cable. I think this is, what is this? 24 inch, 32 inch, one of those. And then I have one longer cable, and both of those cables go with the size 6. And unlike normal interchangeable sets, signature needles, each size needle has its own size cable. So the cables aren't interchangeable with different needles. Anyway, I don't know if that makes sense. But you will be getting the size 6 needle tips, this cable, and one longer cable that go with it. So that's kind of a good prize, right? I don't know. These are great needles. I mean, you know, like I said, lots and lots of people really love them. They just happen to not be my favorite. But they're great. So you want them? Anyway, this is my current project. It is being adorned with another Woolen Forest Designs, or Woolen Forest Charms, sorry, Progress Keeper, and it's a crow, and it matches really nicely because it's got this little, I don't even know if you can see it because it matches the project so well, but it's got a little stone on there, right there, and it matches this yarn perfectly, and I love it. I love that Progress Keeper. I only have like 2 or 3, I think only 2 of her Progress Keepers and 1 stitch marker, and I like use them exclusively right now. I love Maria's work. It's really great. She also has the Woolen Forest podcast if you haven't checked it out yet, which you probably have. You probably should. So that's my first project. I'm very much enjoying it. And it is everywhere now. Hey, squirrel. You want to come say hi? She doesn't care. I'm bothering her right now. She should be sleeping, but I'm sitting next to her talking. Come here. Squirrel, come here, come here. Oh. This is my old lady cat. She's light as a feather. Okay, my next work in progress is, let's do the blanket, is living in my Katydids bag. And it is my spiral blanket of awesome. You saw this on my last episode if you watched, and it has gotten bigger. So this is the spiral blanket of awesome. It's a pattern by Sharon McMahon, and I am knitting it using Malabrio Rios, which is their worsted weight, in the Aguas colorway. I had 3 skeins of this in my stash, and what am I saying? It is real. Pregnancy brain, I'm like, it's just middle of a sentence, it's gone. Okay, so I don't know, what was I talking about? This is stash yarn, I think that's what I was saying. I've gone through 1 whole skein, and I have not yet caked up the second one, but here they are. This has been in my stash for a very, very long time. I got this at my local yarn shop called Yarn, and I've gotten to the end of the first skein, or of the first cake, so I've been on pause with this project until I can go out to my ball winder and Swift, which now live in the garage, so I'm less likely to just get up and use them because they used to live in my office, which is now the nursery, so now all my stuff is in the garage, and I have to go to the garage and like set the things up where they need to go and then wind yarn, and it's just like, I just never want to, so this has been on hold for I don't know, like a week or something, but it's a project that I love. It is for my new baby who is due to be born on June 4th, which is in less than a month. But I have a feeling he's going to be really early. It's just an intuition. So I kind of want to get this done, so I kind of need to go out to the garage to wind my yarn. But I am loving it, which may not be surprising considering this is like my 3rd or 4th spiral blanket of awesome I've made. I just love this pattern. I love the yarn. The great thing about this pattern is it's a circular blanket, and you can use any weight of yarn, any gauge, any needle size to suit those things. And it's a free pattern, which is also awesome, and it's just a big circle. So you start in the middle, and it's not circular like a pie shawl circular, it's circular where you gradually increase every other round the entire way, just until you're done. So you can make it as big or as small as you want, and the increases happen with eyelets, and those eyelets just happen every other round, and they're very easy to see where they go on the round where you're doing the eyelets. So I don't even need like stitch markers or anything. It's just super easy to read your knitting on this project. And I love this pattern. I love it. So that is what I have so far. This is what 1 entire skein looks like. I have 2 more to go. So I think that'll go pretty quick because it's all just stockinette. It's all just knitting in the round. And I'm using my Licka interchangeable needles, which I love. And this is a US size 7. So yeah, I love this colorway too. I went through a really heavy teal phase. I'm not so much into teal anymore, but I still really like it, especially this like really deep, really like green toned kind of teal. Really like it. So this is going to be for my new baby boy. Whenever he comes, he'll have a blanket. And my daughter, who is almost 3, she has one of these too. Hers is made out of Miss Babs yarn in a DK weight. And I think I used 3 skeins also. And that's in the Deep Sea Jellyfish colorway, which is like purples and oranges and black, stuff like that. It's more variegated than this one. I love a good variegated yarn for this pattern. And that one's like pretty tonal, but it's still great. I love it. I love it. Love the pattern. Love it. Okay, my last work in progress, I only have 3, is living in my new bag made by Debbie, who made the prize bag. So she sent me a few, and I kept one for myself. And this is the one I kept for myself. It has sheep on it. And it's very big, which I desperately needed, a very big bag. And in this bag is my Spark cardigan. This is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. It is a bottom-up cardigan pattern that is steeked. You knit it in the round, all over color work, and then you steek it. And then you add a big shawl collar. And I really love this pattern, and I am really enjoying making it. And I'm kind of getting really close to being almost done. So here's what I have. This is the body and the sleeves all attached and almost completed. So I'm at the top neckline. Like I said, it was bottom up. And the yarn that I'm using for this is Dream in Color Classy, which is a worsted weight superwash merino in the Chocolate Night colorway, which is just like the most lovely brown in the whole world. It's like my perfect brown. I love it. And for the contrasting color work, I'm using some of my hand spun. This is a combo spin, which means I took 2 separate braids, spun each braid into a ply, and then plied those 2 plies together. So this is a 2-ply from 2 separate dyers, 2 separate fibers. They're both non-superwash wool. One of the plies is Into the World in the second spring colorway, and that was a some breed of wool. Cheviot, that's a Cheviot. And the other ply is spun right round in the Cornucopia colorway in a Falkland wool. So the hand spun turned out really great. It's pretty much a worsted. I would say it airs on Aran. It sides on the Aran side of things every once in a while, but that's totally fine. That's kind of the nature of my hand spun, at least, is to be pretty variable, and I love it. The colors are really kind of autumnal. They turned out to be pretty stripy, which can happen with variegated hand spun. And there's lots of greens and oranges and pinks and maroons and yellows. I really like it. I think it goes really good with the brown. So this pattern has this kind of arrow section here on the bottom, and then on the sleeves as well. And then the whole rest of the color work is just this repeat. And it is all over color work. Everything on this is color work. And I'm almost done. I think I just have a few more rows of the color work left, and I haven't read ahead in the pattern because I never do that, but I'm assuming after that I do like the neckband, or maybe I do that. No, I do that later because there's no neckband because it's a shawl collar. So I'm probably just stop. I'll probably bind off some stitches, and then I'm going to steek next, and then I will be picking up and adding the shawl collar. And I'm just making that all up because I'm assuming that's what you do, because that makes sense, right? So I'm excited to steek it. This is a superwash yarn combined with a non-superwash yarn. So I will do some sort of reinforcement. I'm thinking I'll do a machine reinforcement, but I'm not sure yet. I haven't, like I said, I haven't gotten that far in the pattern. I don't know what she recommends. And I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I haven't decided. I don't even know if she recommends anything. We'll see. I have to read ahead. And there is a steek panel. So it's right there at the bottom, those straight lines that go up. And then it just continues into this color work pretty seamlessly because all of that color work is just stripes. And then there's a bunch of decreases that happen here. You can kind of see all those blips. Those are decreases because there is neck shaping. So when you're doing this, you're doing decreases on the front so that when you steek it, those fronts open up like a V. So that's pretty cool. I'm very excited about that. And I'm very excited about moving on with the sweater. I really want to be done with this like pretty soon so that I can wear it. As I did say, I'm almost done with the color work part, and I do have more yarn left over than I would like. I wish I would have lengthened it a little bit, but you never know. That's the kind of, for me, that's the problem with bottom up sweaters, is I really like really long sweaters, so I like always lengthen them. But with bottom up, I don't know if I'm gonna run out of yarn or not. So I did lengthen this about an inch in this section here. And then I was afraid that I was gonna run out of yarn. But I have quite a bit left. So I definitely could have lengthened it another inch at least, I would say. But there's just no way to know with bottom up sweaters, so oh well, it's okay. I'll have some leftover yarn. I should totally make a baby hat with the leftover yarn. I'm gonna make a baby hat with the leftover yarn. Because I don't just have this, I also have like my sample that I spun before I spun up the full thing. So between these two, I'm sure I'll have enough for a tiny hat. That is a really good idea. I'm gonna do that. That's what I'm gonna do. I don't feel so bad about having leftover yarn now. I kind of don't like having leftover yarn. It bugs me. I just like, I want to use up everything. I don't know. I don't know why. But I am knitting this currently on a US size 7. These are my Haya interchangeable needles. And it's what the pattern calls for. I did do a swatch. I think. Yeah, I did a swatch, but then I ripped it out and put it into this sweater. That's kind of something I typically do when I swatch for a project, because I am very economical when it comes to yarn. I'm not into buying more than I need. So I'm usually like right on the edge of what I want to be able to use. So when I swatch, typically what I do is I will make my swatch. I will bind off, but I won't cut the yarn. And then I'll soak it and I'll wash it or whatever. And then I'll let it dry just with the cake off to the side. I'll measure my gauge, do whatever I need to do, and then I'll rip it out and wind it back on my cake and reuse it in the sweater or whatever. So that's how I swatch. Yeah. Okay, that's it. That's it for this. I really like it. I can't wait to wear it. I'm really happy to use some hand spun in a sweater. It's not very often that I do that, because me, like I think a lot of hand spinners, you buy like a cool braid of fiber and you spin it and then you have a single skein and you're like, what now? It was a really good option for me to do a combo spin, because that way I got like almost 200 grams potentially of my hand spun, which in being used, what am I trying to say? Using it as the contrast color of a sweater worked out perfectly. So it was a really great way to use hand spun in a sweater, which I just like always have the desire to do. So it was a perfect way to do it. Very happy with that project. I did spin this yarn specifically for the sweater. As you saw, I sample spun, which I like never ever do. So that was, I think this is the first time I've ever done a sample spin before doing like the actual spin. So that was very professional of me to do, or whatever. I don't know. You know. You know. All right. That is it for my projects. Yeah, I think up next I'm gonna do baby hat. That's a good idea. And hopefully I can get, I think my goal is that I want to get that blanket done before this baby's born. And the shawl, I'm just going to be working on that until whenever I get it done. The sweater, I'd love to at least get the steeking done, because I'm not going to be steeking with a newborn. That's dumb. So anyway, let's move on to shop update. I am having a shop update in the Moonstone Dyeworks shop, which is my hand-dyed yarn, tomorrow, which is Saturday, May 8th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And I hope you can make it if you're interested, because it will be my last update for a little while. I am going on maternity leave. 2 days ago was my last day of work at my day job, which is at a dental office. And after this yarn goes up in the shop and gets sent out, that will be the beginning of my maternity leave from Moonstone Dyeworks. So yeah, I'm very excited about it. I'm also very excited about all of this yarn that I have dyed for this shop update. I really like it. Also a note on my Moonstone Dyeworks maternity leave. If you are a Patreon member and you are a member at the level where you get yarn shipped to you every month, don't worry, the maternity leave doesn't necessarily apply to that, because I have pre-dyed a bunch of yarn for at least a few months for my Patreon yarn members. So that is all set aside for you, and even while I'm not working, I am going to be still shipping out Patreon yarn. So don't worry about that. Got you covered. Got some, I'm actually really excited about your yarn that is like stored away for you. It's really great. But back to the update tomorrow. I have some yarn to share with you. So I decided for my last update, I wanted to try out some new things. I've got a couple new colorways. Actually, they're almost all new colorways. And I've got some new bases. So for this last update, I just thought it would be fun to like try out some new bases that I don't typically carry in my shop and just kind of get them out there, you know, for this last fun kind of update. So let's show you what I'm gonna have. Let's see, I'll start with the new bases. So I really wanted to try this marled non-superwash yarn. So here it is. I'm calling this Marled Highland. It's 100% non-superwash Peruvian Highland wool, and it is spun up with light and dark wool, more light than dark, and it's just got those black marls all the way through it, and it's really cool. I've got this on two different colorways. This one is mint foam, and then this one is smashed blackberries. So I'll have these two colorways on this base. And I'm not promising that these bases will come back when I come back from maternity leave. I kind of just wanted to try them. We'll see how it goes later. But for now, this is like it for these bases as far as what I'm promising. The next new base is so wonderful. Oh my gosh. I've seen a lot of other hand dyers use this kind of base, and I'm in love with it. I've never actually touched it before. I bought it and it's freaking awesome. So this is it, and this is Merino Yak Silk. So this is a blend of 65% superwash merino, 20% silk, and 15% yak. And it is insane. It's really drapey and really like soft and shiny, and it's just beautiful. I love it. And the cool thing about the yak base, which I've always really loved, is that it's the bare yarn isn't like white or cream. It's like this really cool warm gray color, and I love that. So when you dye on it, it's got that undertone coming through, and in this case I created a speckle colorway to go on it, so you actually get some of that natural base coming through, which is like right there. And this is the Mad World colorway. And I've also dyed the Mad World colorway on a different new base, which I also was very drawn to. This is the Merino Mohair Sock base, and it's 55% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and 20% kid mohair. So it's a very sturdy sock yarn. And as you can see, this is the same colorway, and those bare spots underneath the speckles are more of a cream than a gray on this one. So this is Mad World, inspired by the Tears for Fears song, Mad World, and it'll be on 2 new bases. That is it for the new bases. Those are my 3 new bases. Well, those are my 3 temporarily new bases. They're my 3 novel bases that are happening right now. Next up, I've done some more colorways in my dip series, and what my dip series is are colorways that are half one color and half the other color. So it's kind of a gradation in the skein from one color to, it shifts to either a different shade or a completely different color. And the first one that I did is this one. It's Lavender Dip. So one end of the skein is this gray and the other end is this pink, and when they meet in the middle, it's this really great lavender. And then this is Tangerine Dip, and one end is a really deep cherry kind of orange, and then the other end is a lighter tangerine orange, and that lighter tangerine orange has some speckles of orange and like a reddish cherry pinkish color. So this one's really cool. I think this one's actually my favorite. Mossy Dip is the other dip colorway I've got in this update. And this has got like seafoam, kind of minty green, and then like a kind of coppery gold. I've also got Heirloom Melon. This is a one of a kind. And Seashore. My other new colorway is Easy Living, inspired by a Billie Holiday song. I really like this one. This is like another seafoam green with some coppery speckles. I'm into seafoam and copper right now. This one is very special. This is an old colorway. This is the only actually like existing colorway I did for this update. And this is Gemini. And I thought it would be a very appropriate idea to dye Gemini for this last update before maternity leave, because not only am I a Gemini, I was born on May 31st, so I got a birthday coming up, but my baby's due date is June 4th, which would make him a Gemini, and even if he's early or late, I'm pretty sure he's going to be a Gemini. So this is for both me and him, or the 2 Geminis. So I did a bunch of Gemini for selfishly my birthday, but also for my new baby who is going to be a Gemini, I think. Probably going to be a Gemini. Unless he's super early, then maybe a Taurus. I don't know, whatever. Somebody's a Gemini, and it's at least me. So that is it. That's everything that's going to be in the update tomorrow. Almost everything, actually. I think I brought over everything. There might be a couple more things. But if you're interested, I hope you can make it. Thank you so much in advance for supporting my small business, especially this kind of one last go before I go on break. I'm planning, but who knows? Planning is planning. I'm thinking I'm going to take like 3 or 4 months off before I go back to dyeing yarn, and we'll see. We'll see. But I'm excited to have a little bit of a break, but I am also thinking about everything I want to do when I come back, because I have ideas. So, okay. My shop, Moonstone Dyeworks, is linked down below. Again, the update is tomorrow, Saturday, May 8th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And that is going to wrap up the episode for today. I hope you are all having a really wonderful spring, a really wonderful Friday or weekend or weekday or whatever it is you are watching. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what you're doing, how you're feeling, how you're enjoying spring, what you're working on. Thank you so much to my Patreon subscribers and my Ko-Fi contributors. I also appreciate you endlessly. And until next time, join in on the Seasons Make Along if you want to. I will see you around. Have fun and stay awesome. Bye.